Good evening and welcome to our candidate forum for the 2026 San Francisco Board of Supervisors District 4 election. I'm Michelle Moritz, the Vice President of Voter Services for the League of Women Voters of San Francisco. I'll be your moderator tonight. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political nonprofit encouraging informed and active government participation. The League never campaigns for or against candidates or political parties. However, after thorough study, we often take a stand on issues. The League is committed to providing the resources that voters need to exercise the most fundamental right of our democracy, voting. Please visit our website at lwvsf.org, and you'll find many resources for voters. We also have a lot of recordings of candidate statements and forums on our YouTube channel. We want to thank AP Giannini Middle School for the use of this facility and our co-sponsors, the D4 Youth and Families Network, the Sunset Chinese Cultural District, Sunset Merchants Association, Indivisible SF, and the ACLU NorCal for their support. And many of their board members and staff are here this evening if you want to give a wave. We also want to acknowledge that we benefit from living on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples, the original inhabitants of San Francisco. Audience, if your friends and family couldn't be here tonight, this forum is being live streamed right now on SF.gov TV's YouTube channel and cable channels and on LWVSF's YouTube. The forum is being recorded and will be up on these YouTube channels in the coming days. We're very grateful to our partners at SF.gov TV who do a great job recording and live streaming these nonpartisan forums all over San Francisco. We team up with them every election season. Now I'm pleased to introduce Jessica Nguyen, if she wants to wave. She is with the Sunset Family Resource Collaborative and the District 4 Youth and Families Network. Both of these collaboratives work deeply with community-serving organizations, highlighting the issues faced by our most vulnerable communities. And tonight, Jessica has worked with 4 Sunset High School students who are down here in the front row to help shape some of the questions and concerns for this forum and this district, and they'll be asking some of the questions tonight. Now I'd like to go through some rules and procedures for this forum. Candidates, welcome and thank you for participating. We look forward to hearing your views on key issues affecting D4 and our city. First, I want to let our audience know some important forum rules. For those watching online, you're in listen-only mode. That means that Q&A and chat features are turned off. And for those in the room with us, please be respectful and refrain from making noise. No booing. Please hold your applause till the end. This helps ensure that everyone in the room and watching online can hear the candidate's vision for the future of D4 in San Francisco. It also makes the videos closed captions and audio clear for those viewing online. Here are the rules of the forum. Candidates, you'll have 2 minutes to make opening and closing statements. Opening statements will be in alphabetical order by first name, and closing statements will be in reverse alphabetical order by first name. Each of you will have the opportunity to answer the same questions. We'll rotate the order in which you respond, and you'll have 1 minute for each question response. The questions were selected from those submitted in advance by residents, youth, and organizations in the district, and a timekeeper in the front row will hold up signs to indicate when you have 30 seconds or 1 minute, 30 seconds, or it's time to stop. So can everyone see her down there with the signs? Okay. Your responses to questions should be about the issues or policy. Please be respectful. Don't attack other candidates, and you don't need to mention each other by name. This is a forum, not a debate. If you have a rebuttal, you won't get extra time. You'll have to fit it into the time corresponding to another question or into your closing statement. Voters, you have important decisions to make for the June 2nd election. Tonight's forum is a great opportunity to learn about the candidates before you vote. So let's begin. We'll start with the candidate opening statements. We'll go in alphabetical order by first name. In your opening statement, please introduce yourself and share why you're running for D4 Supervisor, and please stay within the 2-minute limit. So we'll start with Alan Wong.
Hello. I'm a little bit under the weather today, so excuse me. I'm Alan Wong, and I'm the appointed supervisor for District 4. And it's the greatest honor in my life to be appointed as the supervisor of the neighborhood that I was born and raised in. My parents moved to the Sunset many years ago to raise a family, to raise me and my brother in a safe and clean neighborhood with good schools. And that's the vision that I'm committed to for future families in the Sunset. Throughout my career, I've dedicated it to public service. After finishing from Lincoln and college, I served in the AmeriCorps for 2 years, working with at-risk youth in the Tenderloin with the American Red Cross, and later joined the Armed Forces, the Army National Guard, where I've served for 17 years as a JAG paralegal sergeant, military police platoon leader, and commander of the Public Affairs Unit. I've also served as a union organizer, worked for previous District 4 supervisor, and before stepping up into this role, served as policy director at Children's Council of San Francisco, where we help families get access to childcare. At the City College Board, I work to protect Free City College and balance the budget. Stepping up into this role, my priorities are public safety, fully staffing our San Francisco Police Department, and simply enforcing existing laws. When we go to Walgreens and stores, there's brazen retail theft, and that is unacceptable for our community. There's also brazen drug dealing in downtown, and we need to get that under control. Secondly, reducing red tape at City Hall. It's so hard for small businesses, regular people, to do basic things such as open a business or to make changes to their home. I like to reduce our existing bureaucracy or not add any more. Lastly, supporting quality education and affordability for families in the Sunset. I want to ensure that we have good quality schools for everybody in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Albert Chow.
Hi, my name is Albert Chow, and this is kind of nostalgic, but this is where I came to school. This was the first school I came to when I moved to the Sunset. Graduated out of APG&E in 1981. I started my life in Chinatown and moved out to the Sunset in the late 70s. And so I've been in the Sunset for almost 50 years. And in that time, my family opened up Great Wall Hardware on Taravel Street and 28th. And that we've had for 43 years. We're a legacy business. And in that time, I've served so many customers, worked in your homes, and just helped the community in general, just through my hardware store. But then I decided to expand past that. I joined People of Parkside Sunset, which is our Taravel Merchants Association. And from there, I've been president for almost 16 years. And I've started things like, the Movies in Macoppin, which is a free movie event that we do in October every Friday. I've also had the Christmas tree lighting. I helped found some of the first things, such as the Irving Street Night Market. I helped out on the first one. And also, I'm one of the founding members that helped out on the Farmers Market on Sunset Boulevard, right behind us here. For me, I think it's important that we keep big money out of our politics in the Sunset. For me, I think it's important that in working for the recall of Joel and Gardio, we learned a lesson of what happened when the Sunset gets bought and paid for by a politician that doesn't listen to our voice. So for me, I want to make sure that our voices are heard, our priorities are addressed, and I want to bring my voice, which is going to be your voice, to City Hall. And I want to represent you with all the knowledge that I have and all the history I have in the Sunset. Thank you.
Thank you. David Lee.
I'm David Lee. I was born and raised in San Francisco. My wife and I bought our retirement home here, our dream home, just on 36 in Santiago. We walk everywhere, and I love this neighborhood. I've been an educator for many years at San Francisco State, teaching political science. I've served on the San Francisco Recreation and Park Commission for almost 8 years, chair of the Capital Committee, which was in charge of over $300 million in park bond money, and we built Sava Pool together. We built McCoppin Square. We refurbished McCoppin Square. We did Sunset Playground, Sunset Rec Center, West Sunset, South Sunset Playground, and many other facilities in this neighborhood. I also have been executive director of the Chinese American Voters Education Committee, in which we've registered thousands of people to vote here in the Sunset, particularly immigrant and first generation new voters. So very proud of that work. My 3 priorities are: number 1, break up the monopolies, namely PG&E and Recology, that have charged us high fees, give us unreliable service, and need reform. Secondly, to work on infrastructure. We have many infrastructure issues here in the district, potholes, lights, and so forth, working on that. And then, of course, pedestrian safety. Critically important. All the near misses that I see every day is because of frustrated drivers who drive recklessly through our neighborhood and endanger children and elderly. So I hope you'll consider voting for me and voting for somebody who's an independent, who's going to fight for the Sunset. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll hear Jeremy Greco.
Hi, my name's Jeremy Greco. My wife and I have been married for 30 years. We've lived in the outer Sunset for 25 years, and we raised our 2 daughters here. They both went to Sunset Nursery Co-op. Like many families, we cared for my mother-in-law through Alzheimer's until she passed away as my family sang "I'll Fly Away," which happened last year. That experience taught me what families face, balancing caregiving, work, finance, and exhaustion. My mother was a teenager when she had me, and even though she worked full-time, we relied on HUD for housing and food stamps for food. We were very lucky when my stepfather came along, and he raised me like his own child, and he gave me the advice of make it work for you, something I follow every single day. For 16 years, I co-owned and served on the board of directors of Other Avenues Food Co-op, where I learned budgeting, accountability, and how to solve problems, like buying our building, restoring the mural, and navigating our way through COVID. When theaters were closing, I started Sunset Solos to help keep arts and community alive, and we have hosted over 50 solo performers throughout the Bay Area. There's a lot of money being spent in this race, and it shouldn't cost close to $1 million for a 6-month gig. That is not working for you. I'm running to support seniors, families, small businesses, affordable housing, everyday working people, and to keep Sunset Dunes a permanent park. I'm running to serve District 4 and the greater city of San Francisco. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Natalie G.
Good afternoon, beautiful people. My name is Natalie G, and I was born and raised in San Francisco. At a really young age, my mom took me to community meetings like this one because she really wanted to get involved, but she didn't understand English, so I had to translate for her. And that inspired me to continue my journey in public service as well as community service. I moved to the Sunset 5 years ago with my husband and my cat Momo. We live in a rent-control apartment. I spent the last 20-something years fighting for community. First, as a young person, when I was at Lowell, at Chinese Progressive Association as a youth organizer, worked on expanding youth leadership, as well as helping low-wage workers get back their back pay and helping our SRO housing in Chinatown. I spent the last 8 years as the chief of staff for one of the supervisors, fighting on affordability, making sure working families are heard, expanding language access, and making sure we have bilingual officers. I'm running for the Sunset because I love the Sunset and I love our community. You know, there's so many families here who want to raise their kids here, but it is getting so expensive every single day in San Francisco. Want to focus on public safety, including traffic safety, But most importantly, I want to make sure your voice is represented at City Hall. So I have a lot of experience doing community organizing, bringing in voices, bringing in people together. Right now, there's more than $1.4 million being poured into this race, and 4 out of 5 of the candidates here are not supported by big money, myself included. There's a lot on the line here, and we need to make sure that the Sunset really truly has an independent voice to represent everyone and bring everyone together. 大家好，我個名叫做朱凱勤，今年競選做第4區市參事。我喺呢度三藩市土生土長，不但只識講廣東話，識聽、識寫、識講，我也可以說一點普通話。Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for your opening statements. Please take 1 minute to answer the following 2 questions, which will be asked by high school students who are coming up right now. 1 minute, sorry. You get 1 minute to answer these questions.
Thank you, Michelle. Hello, everyone. My name is Chloe Helmuth, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters San Francisco. I am a sophomore at Lowell High School and a Sunset resident. My question for today is, what do you think defines our District 4 Sunset community as unique from other parts of the city? If elected, what priorities will you focus on to better define our community, and how will you be a strong voice for us in City Hall? First up, we'll have Albert Chow.
Sunset has a vibe. I know this vibe. I can describe it best this way. When you're young, you want to live downtown because that's where it's all happening. You know, the restaurants, the bars, the scenes are all there. But then someday you meet the love of your life and you get married, you have a kid. You stroll that stroller down that street, that same street that you started, and it doesn't work for you anymore because it's crowded, it's got bars, and what you formerly liked is not working for you. And you know what? You want those quiet streets. You want the front yard, the backyard. You want playgrounds and schools. And that is what the Sunset, that is what this housing stock is. That is what the vibe is here. It's a slower pace. It's where families grow. Multi-generational families are raised in these homes. And that's what the Sunset has meant to so many people, including, I think, many of you out here. For myself, what I would do to preserve this, I would staunchly defend our right to the family zoning plan and make sure that it works for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have David Lee.
For me, what makes the Sunset unique is everybody loves to walk here. And I've been knocking on doors, talking to neighbors all over my neighborhood. And the school sits in my neighborhood. And it's gotten very dangerous to walk on the streets because cars are screeching by, drivers are going too fast. I see elderly and children nearly get hit, certainly on my street on 36th Avenue, and that's the experience of many of my neighbors. And we are very much in danger of losing this unique, wonderful pedestrian oasis here where people love to walk to the beach everywhere because they're afraid to cross the street with cars racing down. And I would like to work on that. I think that's really critical, that we make our streets safer for children, for the elderly, for disabled people, for all walks of life. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Jeremy Greco.
Thank you. You know, I had never thought I would live in the outer Sunset, and here I am 26 years later. And I grew up in Santa Cruz. And the Sunset reminds me of Santa Cruz in so many ways, but what's wonderful about it is it's a smaller community. We live in San Francisco, yes, but we're our own community, and we live by the beach, and every single day we get to see the beach and the waves, and that's the most amazing thing to me. And what I love most about the outer Sunset and District 4 is the community. And I received that when we brought our daughters to Sunset Co-op. A community was built. When I worked at Other Avenues Food Store, a community was built. We were able to bring our daughters to work for the first 2 years, and everyone held them. And that was a wonderful community. And it's a community that I'm seeing out in Sunset Dunes, and that's the community I wish to grow.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Natalie G.
Thank you, Chloe, and fellow Lowell person. So the Sunset is very unique because we have a lot of multi-generational families. We have a lot of working families and working folks too. We have the highest amount of seniors and young people interracial, and we also have very unique language access needs. So for me, I want to make sure the Sunset is affordable. I want to make sure our young people have safe spaces to learn, to be able to develop, to be able to grow. And I also want to make sure our seniors feel safe in the neighborhood, whether it's walking across a sidewalk or making sure that they are walking safe to see their grandchildren. And so we need to make sure the City Hall is not just working for us and not telling us what to do. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, we'll have Alan Wong.
The fog is my natural habitat, and the Sunset's the only home I've ever known. I've never moved to any other place because, you know, some of the other places in the city, whether it be downtown or Mission, just too busy for me, too many things going on. And just like I said earlier, my family moved here to raise a family, to raise me and my brother. I went to Lincoln High and Hoover. My brother went to Jefferson and APG, and we came over. My parents came over here because they wanted a safe and clean neighborhood with good quality schools, and that's what I'm committed to supporting. The other big thing about our neighborhood is because it's unique and it's different from the rest of the city because of the things that I described. And so often our neighborhood feels that's not listened to because there's a one-size-fits-all approach in City Hall policy. And I want to make sure that we get listened to. I think that's the biggest problem that we have that we need to continue to challenge City Hall on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is, can you hear me? My name is Zoe Hahn, and I'm a sophomore at Lowell High School. I am also a member of the League of Women Voters San Francisco Youth Council. I am not a Sunset resident, but I do go to school here, so I have a lot of experience in the Sunset. And I have a question for you guys today. I'm sure, as you know, our Sunset community is faced with at least $1.8 million in known budget cuts from the city, which puts many programs that support youth and families at risk. This might seem small at the city level, but it has a big impact here in District 4, which already faces disparities in funding despite having the second highest population of children and youth and being home to many families and seniors. What will you do to ensure that these vital programs can be maintained, even if funds are cut? And if this isn't possible, are there other resources or solutions available for the people affected? And we would like to start with David Lee.
When I was on the Rec and Park Commission, it was during a time when we had very severe budget deficits, just like what we're facing now. In fact, some of the worst that the Rec and Park had seen at that time. And so in order to close a budget deficit, we have administrators who will propose cuts, broad cuts. And it takes a supervisor to ask the tough questions about those proposed cuts to see how they're impacting our youth and our children and our community, and to push back on those cuts. Because what I found is if you push back and you ask the tough questions, the numbers will change. You can get more resources. You can find grants. There are ways to get that funding. You need somebody who's resourceful, knows the system, knows how City Hall functions to get it done. And I have that experience to do it.
Next, we would like to hear from Jeremy Greco.
Thank you. I understand this. Every summer we face something with my daughters. We were trying to get them in after-school programs, and we just couldn't afford it. And luckily, we were able to work opposite schedules, my wife and I, when we were at Other Avenues Co-op. I think we need to pass Prop D. A lot of our budget shortfalls can come from Prop D. Also, we always find the money where we want it. If we want to hire more police officers, which is very noble and we should do, we find the money. But at the expense of always cutting out programs for kids, healthcare, you name it. And I find one thing when we first had my first daughter, City College had a free program out by the church. And we were able to go once a week on Fridays to bring our kid to that program. And I'd like to bring it back to the Outer Sunset. Thank you.
Thank you, Zoe, and thank you, Chloe, for your leadership. So I've worked on 8 cycles on the city budget as a chief of staff for a supervisor. In years where we have surplus, in years where we had deficit. And every year, I fought hard to make sure we save our youth programs, our senior services, our healthcare services that serve our community here. One thing that I helped do is place the overpaid CEO tax Prop D on the ballot this June, which will bring in approximately over $300 million of city revenue to our general funds so that we can save these very essential services that serve our community. And I was able to do that because I was organizing to get people to get signatures. And, you know, we talk a lot about budget cuts. We also need to make sure we cut through the different contractings. There's duplicate contracts in our city. But every year since I've been a chief of staff and a legislative aide, I have fought really hard to make sure we save all of our programs that serve our community here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will be hearing from Alan Wong.
I've served as the budget chair for the City College Board of San Francisco, where we had to make tough decisions to balance our budget. And for me, I favor mixed approaches in how we move forward with our budget. Firstly, I support the CEO tax to generate more revenue. I think it's very fair to ask some of our most successful companies to be able to pay a little bit more to help preserve public services. Also looking into how we can use attrition, be able to use hiring freeze to protect city services and avoid cuts as much as possible. With the West Side funding, I think for the West Side and Sunset, we already have very little resources compared to other neighborhoods. And it's really important that we protect them from whether it be with our cultural district, which faces 100K, or for West Side legal services of 400K, to case management for systems impacted youth, which face 75K. And with our lifelong life skills training for folks with Gammun, where they're facing up to 100K in funding, we need to be able to protect all those services so that we're able to get our fair share from City Hall.
I think children are our future. I also think it's highly unfair that our neighborhood always gets the short end of the stick. We are net taxpayers to City Hall. And yet we are always shortchanged with getting services and money for things that we need in the Sunset. I, as supervisor, will certainly fight for that. I will claw for that. There are efficiencies that are to be had down in downtown, and it is right. When we search and we ask the tough questions, we often find the money. And we should put that money, because I think everybody can agree that children, our youth, deserve after-school programs, teams, sports, tutoring, and higher level education, or to help those that are falling behind level up to everybody else. This is important for everyone. And for me, I think that it's time for us to not get the short end of the stick. Great Highway actually brought a lot of attention to us and realized that we are a hornet's nest and we're not going to take it anymore. And I want to make sure that we do not take it anymore. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Chloe and Zoe. So the next question for our candidates is, in your first 90 days, what are 1 or 2 concrete actions you would take to support children, youth, and families, and how would we know you've made progress? We'll start with Jeremy Greco.
Yeah, as I was saying before, when my wife and I first had a child, it was very difficult to raise the child and, find that balance. We were lucky because we were able to bring her to work, and we were lucky that my parents came up once a week, and we were lucky that we had a babysitter once a week. But the community wasn't there. So we went to a church on Judah Street that was run by City College, and we were able to bring our child there, and it was like a play group. And since then, that funding, that has moved to the main campus of City College. I tried to take my younger daughter there, and it just wasn't the same. The community wasn't the same. So that would be my first priority, is to talk to City College and have these satellite children care centers back in the neighborhoods where neighbors can build a community and be with other parents.
Thank you. Growing up here, a lot of my friends have moved out the city because it is so expensive to raise a family here. The first few things I want to do is I want to protect the Voter Pass Children's Fund, which dedicates funding to children's services here in San Francisco. I also want to make sure with the whole charter reform and commission streamlining that we protect the advisory bodies that oversee children's services, including the Youth Commission, which I was part of sometime almost like 20 years ago, actually. Like, those are opportunities where our young people get to develop their leadership, get to get engaged with civic engagement, and get inspired to stay in public service like myself. So those are the few things that I am going to work on. Thank you.
Alan Wong, I guess I could give you this so we don't have to.
I already have it, too late. For my first 90 days, the things that I have been focused on have been getting adult politics out of our schools. In San Francisco, at our school district, there's so much of this ideological stuff involved that sometimes we forget about the basics of governance. I've been an advocate for protecting our JRTC program in our schools. Today we passed a resolution to preserve the program. I've been working with parents to advocate a 8th grade algebra for our middle schools, so that way our students are able to learn 8th grade at an earlier time and we're not holding them back. Also pushing for zone-based admissions for our local schools so that parents can send their kids to a local school. When I was going to school, elementary school, I waited in front of Jefferson Elementary School for a school bus to take me to the Avila Elementary School in the Haight, and that did not make any sense at all. So zone-based admissions are really important. Also, supporting the mayor's implementation of the expansion of child care subsidies. Thank you.
Albert Chow.
I would definitely work on, as far as like little kids, I think, as a father of 2 little kids, I think it's important to fix our playgrounds. I think in the Sunset, our playgrounds are in heavy disrepair. And also another thing I would definitely look at is after-school programs for kids to allow them to get tutored, to keep them, to have a watchful eye, because all of us work very hard, sometimes 1 and 2 jobs because this city is expensive to live in, so that our kids are cared after and not at exorbitant prices. You know, I want to have work on trying to get subsidies for after-school programs, for child care services for kids pre-K, and also, you know, promote and support foreign language and STEM classes in our schools, because that is what's needed for the jobs of the future. And so I think that, and I'll also bring kids out of private school and into public school, which is where I think we're leaving money on the table at SFUSD. There's 30% of the kids in the city go to private school, and that is outrageous.
Thank you. David Lee.
Yes, the question was 90 days. So in 90 days, I would like to stripe all the crosswalks that lead to the schools and from the schools. This is something I've heard over and over again, that many of our crosswalks, critical crosswalks, are faded. They're not bright enough. They need to be striped, and I would push to stripe them and make sure that that happened for all our schools in the Sunset, so that children and cars and parents can all see clearly where the crosswalks are, and that they're visible in the evenings and at dark hours into winter, so that our children can be safe. Maybe we'll save a life. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the next question. D4 residents require a variety of housing options. We have renters, multi-generational households, and young people trying to stay in the city. Nearly 40% of Sunset households are rent burdened. meaning that they spend at least 1/3 of their income on rent. What specific actions would you take to make housing more stable and affordable for these different residents? We'll start with Natalie G.
Thank you. So as a chief of staff, I was able to bring in housing that was for workforce. 100% affordable at the Sophie Maxwell project, where we combine public and private financing to create it. And the Sunset's really unique, right? We don't need 50-story towers, but we need to be able to make housing that makes sense. 1-2-3-4 Lower Great Highway makes total sense for our seniors. We also need to make housing that serves the needs of our multi-generational communities. That includes making sure we make it easier for our in-laws to be legalized, make it easier for homeowners to add an extra floor. But most importantly, we need to protect rent control units. With the family zoning plan that did get passed, there's about 2,200 units of rent control that are not being protected. And so we also need to make sure we protect that, because that is the only affordable housing stock that we have right now.
Thank you. I'll use this microphone. Alan.
Sure.
Sorry, maybe that wasn't.
There's too much ideology around our housing. There's some folks that don't want to build any housing at all. Some people want to build 100% affordable housing or nothing, and some people that want to deregulate everything to build as tall as possible. I'm none of those. I think we need to be level-headed, measured, and deliberative in how we move forward with our housing. I support various options, including market rate, middle income, and low-income housing for our communities. In general, I support affordable housing. Legislation that I'm currently working on includes a policy to legalize ADUs in our city. Currently, there's a minimum height requirement of 7.5 feet for ADUs, and that's a dumb law because in the state, they only require a height limit of minimum height of 7 feet, and we can legalize so many units in the Sunset and across the city just by changing that height requirement. In addition, I support housing on commercial and transit corridors. Thank you.
I believe that the family upzoning plan is really the only way that's going to pencil out for a developer at $1,000 a square foot is they're going to build luxury housing. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't think I need another $2.5 million, $3 million house because I can't afford it anyway. But there's a lot of housing in the tune of maybe 30,000 units, and it might be conservative, that are vacant right now because landlords are afraid to get back into the market. There's whole apartments, single-family homes, ADUs that are just empty. And if we were able to make the laws more equal so that landlords have a little bit more rights so they can feel comfortable to get back in the market, we can have a broad spectrum of housing prices and housing capacity. Not just luxury units, but all the way down to the little in-law and the single-family homes and the apartments. And that would help a lot without having to break any ground and get housing on the market fairly quickly.
Thank you. David Lee?
I oppose the mayor's family zoning plan in part because it didn't protect the rent-controlled housing in the Sunset. It failed. There was an amendment to cover rent-controlled housing, and it failed at the board. I believe that it's really critical to bring people together, particularly neighbors and the community together, to build the housing that we need in the Sunset, built for the needs of the people, not for real estate speculators who are simply trying to make the highest return on their investment. So I believe that it's critically important to convene the neighbors, convene the community of District 4 to build the housing, to get the support that we need, political support from within the community to build the housing that we need. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jeremy Greco.
The first thing I would do is bring an amendment to protect 2-unit housing. I rent in a 2-unit house. We are not protected anymore with the new zoning plan. That is the first thing I would do. Secondly, I think we need to be very imaginative with things like 1-2-3-4 Great Highway that has run out of money. We can do an intergenerational housing project with seniors and artists. You can have an artist community room. You can have elderly people living there and artists living there at a discount to bring art to the community. And the mayor wants to bring art back to the community to build back our economic prowess. Also, the housing that's being built is not affordable. On Judas Street, there is, across from other avenues, housing for a 2-bedroom costs $5,500 a month. My wife works at a school, I work at a school. That is something we cannot afford, and it's trickled down rent.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to question 5, and Alan Wong will be the first to answer this one. About 30% of the Sunset's children and youth live below the federal poverty level. The Sunset also has the highest population of senior citizens who often struggle on fixed incomes. What can the city do better to address the root causes of food insecurity facing these residents, and would you support the development of a long-term food system plan? Alan Wong.
Thank you. That's a very good question. When I was at Children's Council, when there was a loss in the SNAP funding, we worked with the food bank to organize to make sure that we were getting support for those suffering from food security, and also to be advocates for our local government stepping in to fill in where there are gaps, especially when the federal government was failing to step in. I've been a big supporter of the work that Self-Help for the Elderly and organizations like Children's Council do to support our most in need. And I'd like to see further growth in our opportunities for food security programs in some of these CBOs and nonprofits that we have in our community, as well as supporting childcare programs to ensure that people that have children are able to go to work and support their families. Thank you.
I think that we already have an interesting system already with Self-Help for the Elderly and also OnLock. My mom receives the benefits of OnLock. And I asked my mom whether she wants to pay a sliding scale according to her affordability. This is already working. I would think it might be a good idea to expand that for children as well. The system's already there. If we were able to subsidize that and make it work, that we could also supply food for families that are struggling and have children, I think that would be a wonderful idea. This is something that is, I think, a San Francisco thing. We have big hearts here. And those that have and can afford, we can work to pass that kind of money in the form of taxes or donations to the people that need a helping hand. It's already working, and we can enhance that existing program. So that's how I would think to approach it. Thank you.
David Lee.
When I was at Laney College in Oakland, I was very privileged to work with our culinary team to provide some 50,000 hot meals and groceries for Oakland residents during the COVID crisis, as well as after for the next 2 years. And how we did it, serving those meals, countless bags of groceries, was to work with the food bank, the Alameda Food Bank. In San Francisco, we have a very excellent food bank as well. We have to work closely with them and to coordinate also with distribution sites such as schools and churches to make sure that people have access, and to plan the food storage and preparation so that we can serve as many people as possible, and also to diagnose the exact need. What is the level of food insecurity in our community, and how can we meet it? Thank you.
Thank you. Jeremy Greco.
Yeah, the last year of my mother-in-law's life, we spent she spent $40,000 for in-home care. We provided the food. Our food costs were enormous, and they still are enormous as food prices rise. We have to think about the future. There's going to be a lot of seniors that are going to be in dire straits that have no one to help them. They won't even be able to go to a grocery store. They might not be able to walk to a grocery store, and we need to provide that assistance. And we need to do it through, the food bank is struggling right now too, and we need to get funding to these communities to help provide food to our seniors and families and our weakest people in society.
First, we have to make sure that we protect our food security budget in this year's budget. It is currently at risk of getting cut. In my current district, I was able to bring a free grocery store to serve the community, to serve our communities who are food insecure. And we need to also make sure we are supporting our service providers who are providing those meals right now. We have a $16 billion budget for San Francisco. We can provide money to make sure our seniors and young people are not going hungry. But the Board of Supervisors, we don't have jurisdiction over the Board of Education or SFUSD. What we can do is help invest in the infrastructure, whether it's making sure our kids don't go hungry or making sure our buses go on time. Right now, there's about $700,000 that's being spent against me. That money could be spent saving our food programs here in our districts for our seniors and for our young people. Like, that's the amount of money that is trying to buy this election, but there's gonna be more coming too. And we all know we could spend that on saving our food. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Albert Chow, and the question is, community organizations often do the work of keeping neighborhoods safe and engaged, but they don't always get funding or recognition. Can you share an example of working with community-based organizations? What did you accomplish? What made it work? And what would you do as supervisor to make these partnerships stronger?
I am currently president of a community organization called People of Parkside Sunset, and I volunteer. I don't draw pay, and all the members that are officers also don't draw pay. We're all merchants. I know how this feels. What I would definitely do as supervisor, and I don't think this will cost a lot, I have an assistant administrator that we pay that puts his full time into it because the rest of us are busy running our businesses. I think someone like that would be a valuable addition to all the community service organizations in our city. It's a small price to pay to keep those organizations coming because they do engage with the public, they do engage with your community, they know your people, and they keep you informed, they provide events, and they provide activities that help our communities grow and keep us all engaged. And that's certainly what I would do. I think it's a small thing, it's a small adjustment, but it's dollars well spent. Thank you.
David Lee?
I've worked with the Self-Help for the Elderly to register people to vote through my nonprofit organization that targets voter registration, making sure that people have access to multilingual materials, that they get out to vote and participate. The community-based organizations have been invaluable partners to reaching people. And I've also partnered with the League of Women Voters for many years. I was on the board of the League of Women Voters of San Francisco. And so working with community partners is how we leverage community relationships, leverage dollars, and reach people and reach deeply into the community. And so I really strongly believe in that, and I would work to involve all our community organizations. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeremy Greco?
My main experience is working at cooperatives. For 16 years, I worked at Other Avenues Food Store. And when COVID hit, we were hit that day with a huge line of people. And we didn't know what to do. And the city would give us rules day by day to take down our bulk department, hire our security, and only allow people in at 10 minutes at a time. We really had to figure that out, and we provided food for the community and worked during COVID. Also, when I worked at Sunset Preschool, we had to volunteer as parents and help take care of the kids as part of a workday, which helped me see, young kids grow and become part of the community of the co-op. Thank you.
As the chief of staff, I was able to convene community, law enforcement, our schools, and all our stakeholders in the community to create a district-wide public safety plan. And this public safety plan, we work with our CBOs to create different youth programs and youth pathways and workforce development so that our young people can do good things and not be on the street. You know, we also need to make sure we're protecting the funding that we're allocating from the board in this budget to save our services in community, including services that serve our young people and our seniors. The board doesn't have jurisdiction on where that money goes, but what we can do is we can allocate a certain amount of money for something like food insecurity or youth services, and then our organizations and community can apply through a funding process and try to get that grant money. And so that is what we can do as a board.
Thank you. Alan Wong.
I remember reading Malcolm Gladwell's Whatever It Takes, and it was a book about how we need to support our young people from birth to adulthood. And I believe that's one of the biggest things that we can do to support our communities and invest in the future and the next generation. For myself, I personally participated in CYC Dragon Boat, Bay Area Dragons basketball team when I was growing up in the Sunset, and those things really helped me grow confidence, build camaraderie, and be a part of my community. In my professional life, I've worked as Children's Counsel of San Francisco with the American Red Cross through AmeriCorps and also at-risk youth in the Tenderloin. I think that CBOs are key towards investing in our future and helping ensure that our communities stay safe and giving the support young people need to grow their future as well. And I believe that jobs training, youth programs, these are some of the best investments that we can make going forward with our budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the next question. District 4 includes many different micro neighborhoods and communities. Can you name a few that you've spent time in, and what makes their needs different from one another? Also, some don't have many trees or any green space. Do you have plans to improve on that? David Lee can answer first.
My wife and I love to shop on Noriega Street, which is a micro community. It's a very different kind of vibe than, say, Irving Street, because much of the neighborhood, the immediate neighborhood, goes shop at Noriega, versus Irving Street draws more of a citywide and out-of-town audience. Noriega is, we see the same people, the same neighbors all the time, and we have our favorite fish market, our favorite grocery store, and it is it feels like being in a family, and you go to the same places, you shop, and you celebrate the same holidays together. And I encourage people to venture out to Noriega and meet that micro neighborhood and experience it.
Yeah, I spend most of my time near Judas Street and Irving Street. Judas Street because I worked there for so many years, and then Irving Street because that's where Sea Level Gallery is, and that's where I do Sunset Solos, and I love Blackbird Books. And it is really interesting, and I think David is right, the two different vibes that each of those streets have. I also love going to the Terraville Library, and I love going to the Ortega Library. That's what I love to do. And I think we need to have more trees planted on the sidewalk. Even though we live right by the ocean, trees are important, and they give, it helps with the urban heat, and it helps just with your general outlook on life when you're around nature. And I always think we need more green planting. Thank you.
There's a lot of beautiful neighborhoods here in the West Side, and my favorite places are definitely Irving. We have our HQ there. I spend a lot of time over here at Ortega Library as well, but I'm kind of all over the place. We also have a really cool surfing community too, kind of closer to like the end of Judah, which means we definitely need someone who can work with everyone to gather that robust community input. And I am someone who has had experience to be able to work with all different communities to bring up their experiences, their voices, and bring it to City Hall. We also don't need to be allowing developers and giving them a giveaway to not plant trees when they make developments. And we need to make sure that if developments do come in, they are investing in our neighborhood. They are investing in our community benefits, which includes making sure they do plant trees to beautify our neighborhood and make it a little bit more green.
Thank you. Alan Wong?
There's so many micro neighborhoods in the Sunset, even though sometimes we just all call it the Sunset along the Central, Irving, and Taraval. I see them as almost like another Chinatown. It's a mini Chinese neighborhood where we get to visit so many places and restaurants that you get to go to. I grew up going to restaurants on Irving and Taraval. Also on Noriega, it's a corridor full of healthcare. We've got dentists, we've got NEMS, we've got Chinese hospital there. There's so much investments in health. Also, we've got the Irish community, the Chinese community, and in terms of the green spaces, Sunset Boulevard is one of those places that's underinvested in. Recently, I'm working to steer $1 million in state funding towards irrigation funding for the Sunset Boulevard, and hoping that we can transform it into an amazing green space for our community to use. Thank you.
Got me now? We have two Chinatowns, part of Irving Street and also upper and middle of Noriega, which are fine shopping experiences and culturally, distinct in those neighborhoods. We're also fortunate to have Taraval Street, which is a little bit more eclectic, a little bit more motley. We have all kinds of businesses there and not necessarily more just so Asian-centric. And also we have our own little shopping center that we just acquired as D4, the Lakeshore Shopping Center on Sloat Boulevard. But on top of that, we have those unique ocean beach businesses that are at the bottom of Sloat, at the bottom of Taraval, Noriega, Judah, and Irving. Each one of these with very unique vibes and great food. I can't help it. I have to talk about the food, right? This is San Francisco. And so these are experiences that I think it makes the Sunset unique. We do have so many amenities and so many unique businesses here that make it a treasure.
Thank you. The next two questions will be about supporting small businesses and were submitted by the Sunset Merchants Association and others. San Francisco has implemented a commercial vacancy tax to discourage long-term empty storefronts, yet vacancies persist in many neighborhoods. Do you think the current policy is working? If not, what specific changes would you make to better activate vacant storefronts, whether through enforcement, incentives, or new models such as nonprofit or city-supported leasing? And we'll start with Jeremy Greco.
Yes, I would start a co-op initiative. I think there's a lot of smart people out there that want to start a business and they do not have the funds to start a business on their own. And I think a co-op is a great way to do that. There's a program like this in New York, and they fund people that want to start a business, and they start co-ops. And co-ops are different because everyone has a stake in the business, and they run a business together. Also, when businesses are retiring, we are at risk of losing legacy businesses in our community. And if we have a way that businesses can retire and pass their work on along to the workers, there could be a co-op that way.
Thank you. Natalie G.
I was able to create a neighborhood commercial district in the office that I currently work for right now. And that provides a lot of small business protections for our small businesses. I also help work on the vacancy tax too, and I also agree that we need more enforcement on it. But we also need to make sure the city invests in our small businesses. That also means making it easier for small business to open. I have a few friends who own businesses in San Francisco, including my best friend, and they have told me that they have to jump through hoops to be able to open their business, and it's just not fair for them. You know, I am all for the streamlining part. I am all for making permitting easier, and I'm also all for making sure our Office of Small Business is working closely with our small businesses, maybe even providing a flow chart, maybe providing guidelines where they know where our small business owners can follow a guideline through that city process. Any way we can make it easier to make our small business thrive, that's important because small businesses are the anchors of our neighborhood.
Thank you. Alan Wong?
For our small businesses, I think that we need to cut red tape and reduce the number of burdensome rules that we have for our small businesses. San Francisco has too many fancy rules, too many great visionary ideas, but sometimes when you put layers and layers and layers upon small business owners to try to implement, it's just so hard. For a small business owner that rents a storefront, they might have to wait 4 or 6 months until they can finally open for business because they need to go through so many different permits and fees. Also, sometimes we have MTA making many changes in our neighborhood without consulting neighbors, and it hurts our local small businesses. We need to have proper feedback into those processes. We need to reduce red tape. We need to consolidate and streamline permitting for our government services so that we make it as easy as possible for our local small businesses.
Albert Chow?
Finally, me. I think we should get government out of our way. You know, El Terraville project by SFMTA did Terraville really no favors. They came up with that plan, fully baked, and made us claw our way back to fight our rights to survive and reveal our experiences on that street. And it turns out now that the El Terraville project is done, you look, there are whole blocks that are completely blighted with empty storefronts. And I can't really fault the landlords because it's not them. It's now that you've made that street unmarketable. So I think that we should definitely have grassroots solutions, not just from the top down, but from the bottom up. That's first. Second, I would get rid of some of these laws that prohibit and make red tape for small businesses to get started. I would like to continue and enhance Office of Small Businesses efforts to match small business owners that want a location and helping them find inventory and locations for them that make the right fit. And these are things that I would certainly do as supervisor.
Thank you. David Lee?
I think it's the question was on vacancies, right? Storefront vacancies. And I like the idea, and I've seen it work in other parts of the city, of partnering with nonprofits to activate vacant spaces, vacant storefronts, to work with nonprofits to bring in arts, to bring in literary readings, to bring in different kinds of events so that people can get to know an area, know a block for certain kinds of attractions. And I think that working and partnering with nonprofits to activate that space will help generate interest in starting small businesses. Once business owners see that there's an opportunity, a certain market has come because of an attraction, they will be more likely to invest and to open a business that can be commercially viable.
Thank you. Our next question is also about small business. San Francisco remains one of the most difficult cities in which to open a small business due to cost, time, and complexity. What is one specific structural, not incremental change that you would make to the permitting system that has not already been implemented, and how would you ensure coordination across departments? Natalie G. is first.
Thank you for that question. So right now our businesses have to jump through hoops in terms of building inspection, different approvals. Our city doesn't tell them who those inspectors are. So it's important when our small businesses are opening up that they know who the inspectors are, and our inspectors can work with them to make sure that they pass their inspections. instead of surprising them after they implement something and tell them that they have to fix something. But also, San Francisco right now, we're investing a lot to bring downtown back. We are not investing in our small neighborhoods. So we need to also make sure we do the same amount of effort to bring some of the big events that are happening out in downtown Union Square, Soma, and bring that foot traffic, bring that business out here over to the Sunset, to our neighborhood corridors. As supervisor, I'm gonna work with the mayor's office to make sure that when we have big events in San Francisco, our small neighborhood businesses here are also seeing that revenue come in and seeing that economic growth come in.
Thank you. Next, Alan Wong.
In the big picture of things, I would stop coming up with new rules and regulations for local small businesses. There's too many fees, rules, regulations, permits for every single little thing for our small businesses. It's just too hard. We can simplify things and reduce it, or at least not add more additional burdens on our small businesses. We just have too much. In addition, we need to streamline our existing services, ensure that we're consolidating our permitting process so that when our businesses or small businesses are reaching out to city government, they can go to a one-stop shop and be able to get everything done in one place so that they're not constantly figuring things out and going around and getting different answers from different departments at the city. We need to streamline things, we need to consolidate things, and we need to stop coming up with fancy new rules.
Thank you. Albert Chow.
So, it's been a long time since I opened my business. I don't remember what I paid for my permits, but I did get a permit for my house to remodel, and it cost me $19,000, and it took like 3 years. I would think that, and it's a Byzantine method. It's a Byzantine system that you have to go through. I had to pay an expediter to guide me through that system. I think that expediter should be included in the package that you pay for that 19 grand that I paid for my permit. And it's gonna be more if you open a business. And you gotta figure out which windows you gotta go through, which departments you gotta go through. If you didn't do this one, then they say go back to the other one. It's like DMV of hell. It really is. Why am I paying that much money and getting crappy service? We should have an advocate in the department that'll take you by the hand, help you, advocate for you all through that process. And that is what I think our money should be spent on. Thank you.
Thank you. David Lee.
One of the things I've seen work was partnerships between SF State planning studies and neighborhood businesses. And why? Because working with students, we can help business owners, prospective business owners, develop market studies, identify customer bases, look at the demographics of a particular neighborhood, a particular street, to see if the market fits the business plan or business idea. And I've seen this work very well because it helps business owners get small business administration loans, funding for an idea, and those ideas have much more likelihood of success with this kind of work put in at the beginning so that you have a roadmap for building your business. And I'd like to see more of those collaborations so that at the front end, we can help businesses succeed.
Jeremy Greco.
Thanks. When I worked at other avenues, I was always baffled when the health inspectors would come in because they would always look for something different. I never had a solid, straight line of what we needed to do. One inspector would come in and say we needed a hood over our oven. Another inspector would come in and say you need to have a covering on that cart. The same thing with the fire department. Great, friendly people, but when I work at the school and or other avenues, everyone has a certain standard. And I would like to have a certain standard that's uniform instead of having someone come in each time and telling me something different when we could have made those changes to begin with and not have to rush to make those changes when someone new has come along.
Thank you. So now we'll have our final two questions before the closing statements, and these will come from some more Sunset High School students.
Thank you, Michelle. My name is Eric Chen, and I am currently a freshman at Lowell High School, and I am not a Sunset resident, but my social life has grown here, and I also go to school here. And my question for you all is, what does meaningful community engagement look like to you, and how will you reach families who don't usually come to meetings or who feel left out of decisions affecting our quality life in the Sunset? We'll start off with Alan Wong.
Thank you. I think that's really important to engage the community because, especially when you're working at City Hall, sometimes you're only talking to the political class, the people that are very ideological, the people with just very narrow-minded belief systems and rigid belief systems. And when you talk to everyday people out in the neighborhood, generally people are way more open to compromise, willing to share different perspectives, and talk and have difficult conversations. And I think that we need more of that at City Hall. And when I engage people inside the Sunset District, just everyday people, not political class, we're able to listen to what everyday people think. And I'm committed to doing that and continuing to doing that as supervisor for the neighborhood. In terms of community spaces, I think that along our merchant corridors, we have so much vibrancy with our night markets, also with our Sunset Boulevard, but so much more can be created with Sunset Boulevard, with our night markets, so that we're able to create a place where people can gather and talk and build community.
Thank you. Next is Albert Chow.
I got that right. You know what? Our last supervisor, I'm not talking about you, sorry. With all respect to you. Engardio did a lot of stuff on his own, didn't inform us, and really divided us. And in part, it's why we're all here today. So one of the things I want to do, should I become supervisor, is keep my door open. And I want to do it like a couple days a week, where you guys can come into my office and speak to me. Just give me a pitch on a problem. Anything that you have, a thought, an improvement, a complaint about our district, so that we can work on things to improve. Leaders don't know where to go necessarily if the people don't tell us where to lead, where to point. I would also like to I'd like to hold court in a coffee shop, in our neighborhood, different places, make an announcement, come on down. That way you don't have to go down to City Hall, because I know you guys work, and it's hard. And I could do it after hours, so that you guys can come in after you're off work, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the evening. So that's how I think I would build the community and make it work for us.
Thank you. Next will be David Lee.
Community engagement is core to being a supervisor, in my view. Big decisions like the family zoning plan require talking to your district, talking to your neighbors, having meetings in the neighborhood so people can weigh in people's living rooms, in people's kitchens, and where people congregate. And I noticed, having campaigned here and talked to thousands of people in the Sunset, that people love to get together. And I see that on Sunset Boulevard, along the homes, that there people get together and talk. And I think that's where the meaningful engagement needs to happen, in people's homes where they're comfortable, also at coffee shops, where the community is, and before any major decision is made on behalf of the district. And that's my commitment, that I will listen to the people of the Sunset. Thank you.
Next will be Jeremy Greco.
Thank you. For me, art is a wonderful way of building community, and I would love to see more art in the Sunset District. More murals, more poetry readings, more bookstore readings. This is something that can change minds and bring community together. Also, Sunset Dunes. I used to be against Sunset Dunes until I walked down to Ortega to Ocean Calling, and the day my mother-in-law passed away, my whole family did, and we made a phone call. And that changed my mind on Sunset Dunes, because art can change people, and I think that is the focal point of bringing community together and bringing us all together as a Sunset resident.
Lastly will be Natalie G.
Thank you, Eric. I have spent the last 20-something years bringing communities together and bringing people together. We have to meet people where they're at, whether it's at a coffee shop, at schools, at our senior centers, but more importantly, we have to engage in different languages. We know our community here doesn't just speak English. We have people who speak Chinese, who speak Cantonese, who speak Mandarin. I am the only one up here who is fluent in Cantonese and Mandarin. We also need to make sure that we are making sure we are meeting people where they're at, including at the different parks. So whether we're meeting at a school for a town hall on a weekend or in the evenings, that is what I've been doing my last 20-something years. And so I know a lot about bringing community together. It is my passion. It is why I love this community, because there's so many diverse voices and there's so many ways to just make sure everyone is heard.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jason Tan, and I'm a sophomore at Lincoln High School. And even though I'm not a Sunset resident, my question for you all today is, what do you hope to have accomplished by the end of your term to improve life for youth like us here? And what kind of future do you see for us here in the future? We have Albert Chow first.
First, I want to say I want the Great Highway open. That way, you that don't live in the Sunset can get to Lowell faster and not drive quickly in and amongst us in the neighborhoods, through our avenues, making the neighborhood less safe. For kids, you know, for youth, where do I see myself in 4 years and where I hope to leave this? And, you know, as an accomplishment, I would really like to have supported, you know, schools with more Mandarin, or excuse me, any foreign language really, and STEM. I want to make it so that our schools are performing at the highest levels. I think that, I love Lincoln, by the way, but I think that also, like Lowell academies like that, why is it just Lowell? Why aren't we having more AP classes and stuff like that in other neighborhoods, inspiring other neighborhoods to do better, not just having to have them here? It's not right. There are lots of smart kids, and they don't all make it in there, and so their opportunities are cut short. And I want to see that more expanded when I'm done after 4 years.
We got David Lee next.
One of my focuses has been on pedestrian safety. And I'd like to see that our crosswalks, which are not striped, get striped. And that's one of my priorities, is to make sure that all those areas that our seniors, our children, our community members cross, have safe crosswalks, that cars and motorists know that those are pedestrian zones. I would like to have a senior pedestrian zone, and to an area where cars are going to to slow down, so that seniors can feel more leisurely in their walks and have more safety. And also a children's zone where children can have a play area where they can ride their bicycles and feel safe. And that's one of the things that I think in 4 years that I can accomplish. Thank you.
Jeremy Greco.
Yes, I do want to say a lot of the problems we're having with traffic and accidents are because of distracted driving. There are too many distractions when you drive through phones and a computerized car, and we need to keep our eyes on the road. I'm really concerned about seniors as they are starting to age, and I'm concerned about what is going to happen to seniors. And with kids, we need more opportunities for kids. Between like 13 and 15, there's not that much for kids to do. There's not a lot of camps. My daughter's very lucky. She's a explainer at the Exploratorium, and I would love to have more opportunities like that, working in science museums, working in art museums, because she did not want to do it, but she's having a fantastic time doing it, and I would like to have that for you.
Natalie G.
As a former youth organizer, I know how it feels to feel supported, to have leadership opportunities, and a way to grow up in a safe space. So I want all of our young people to be able to feel that, to make sure that they can know that they can continue to contribute to our community and have opportunities where they can grow. I also want to make sure that our young people are supported mentally, both emotionally, and also have physical spaces where they do feel safe in. We have a lot of working people and working families here. So I want to make sure we address multi-generational issues, right? Including domestic violence. While crime has been down in the city, domestic violence has been up, and that has affected a lot of multi-generational families because it is something that is underreported. I also want to make sure that we bring the Sunset together. There's been so much unity in our neighborhood in the last few years. We need someone who has the leadership skills, who has the skills to bring together everyone from all sides and put the unity back into community.
And lastly, Alan Wong.
This brings me to what I said at the start, supporting safe and clean neighborhoods with good quality schools. My parents came to the Sunset to raise a family, to raise me and my younger brother. I went to Lincoln High and Hoover, born and raised in the Sunset. And for me, what this neighborhood has meant is it's a place where my dad was able to just work as a hotel cook at the Grand Hyatt on Stockton and support me for 2 decades with a rent that was affordable to him, earning $20-something an hour. And going forward into the future, I want to be able to help other families thrive in our neighborhood, ensure that it is affordable for future families, support childcare to those that need it so that working parents, moms and dads can go to work, continue to be a champion for Free City College, keeping Free City College so that way people can get the job training that they need to get into their careers, and also focusing on the basics of governance. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric and Jason. That was our last question. Candidates, it's time to share your closing statements with D4 voters. We'll go in reverse alphabetical order by first name, and you will each have 2 minutes for closing statements. So Natalie G.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight. My name is Natalie G, and I am running for District 4 Supervisor. I have over 20 years of experience serving the community, bringing people together, and I really want to focus on affordability, safety, including traffic safety, and also making sure Sunset has a voice at City Hall. That is why I am so proud to have the endorsement of the California Working Families Party, our San Francisco Labor Council, and a majority of our labor unions here in the city, including our public educators, UESF, and AFT 2121. I'm also proud to have the support from former Assembly Member Phil Ting, Connie Chan, who's our current supervisor in D1, and a lot of people supporting this campaign. We are a grassroots campaign. We are not funded by big money. I have over 750 donors, probably more now, of neighbors, friends, community, people contributing small amounts to make sure our campaign is well run and make sure that we are really helping working folks out here. I said in the beginning, there's about 1.4 million coming into by this election. There are 4 of us here that are not supported by big money. And me personally, I am voting for everyone up here except for the appointed candidate. And I personally donated to everyone up here except for the appointed candidate because I believe the Sunset needs an independent voice that fights for working people and working families. And I hope to serve you as your next District 4 Supervisor. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie G. Jeremy Greco, you're next.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Greco, and I'd like to thank you all for being here tonight. I'd like to thank my fellow candidates. It's always wonderful to spend this time with you. I was married in 1996. My wedding, my honeymoon, and rental car cost $550. We got married in Big Sur, and it was beautiful. And I share this because I know how to live within a budget, be creative, and solve problems. There's a lot of outside money being spent in this campaign, nearly $1 million for a 6-month gig. 6 months. Is that working for you? Is that helping your family, our seniors, or everyday working people trying to get by? You have to ask yourself, what is all that money buying? This election is not only about District 4, but it's about the heart and soul of San Francisco. I've run a small business, I've written proposals, studied laws, balances budgets, and brought people together. And that's what a supervisor must do. And I also think a supervisor must think of both the past, present, and future. The past is where we come from, the present is what we need to conquer, and the future is what we need to think forward to. And I'm running to keep the park, I'm running to help small businesses and have truly affordable housing. And I'm running to stand up for families, seniors, and just regular people trying to get by. And I'm running for you. And I'd be honored to have your vote. Thank you.
David Lee.
Thank you for spending this time learning about our campaigns. I'm the only candidate up here who did not participate in the mayor's appointment process. I've always wanted just to run as your representative, representing an independent voice at the Board of Supervisors and at City Hall. It's time to stop letting City Hall tell us what to do and instead have a true voice that listens to the people, that's from the people, that's independent, tell City Hall what we want. And that's why I'm fighting every day, knocking on doors, talking to neighbors to be the representative for you, for the people of this district. Not the special interests, not to be a rubber stamp for the mayor, but for you. And that's what the Sunset has been lacking for a long time, and it's time that the people have a voice. Thank you.
Thank you. Albert Chow.
I got here because a couple years ago, we all lost our collective voice. The Great Highway was closed without our consent, without town halls, without any discussions. And it tore this neighborhood asunder. And it got me involved because I want to right that wrong. I want to be the voice for you. And in that voice, you're going to get a small businessman that's had a business for 43 years, that knows about making ends meet. I don't have a slush fund behind me that if things don't pan out, that I can just go and grab that money and kind of bolster myself up. I got to make sure it works. We small business people, we're a pragmatic bunch. We're a scrappy bunch because we love what we do, and we put all our eggs in one basket because we love to serve our community through our small businesses. And I'm also a community leader. You know, having served in this community, doing events for a decade and a half now. And for me, I want to continue serving this Sunset. The reason why I'm stepping up is not because I need another job to do, but it's because I love my neighborhood, I love my city, and I want to make sure that it's back on the right track. This family upzoning stuff, we need to make sure that it is the right fit for us. We don't build to a quota, we build to a need. We build to having things sit right in our neighborhood because it is, as we had talked earlier, there is a vibe that is true, that is the Sunset. And I want to make sure that stays true for all you here today and for generations to come. So I'm Albert Chow. I'm running for D4 Supervisor, and I've got 50 years in this neighborhood. I think I'm the only one that can say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan Wong.
I'm so proud to be supported by Mayor Lurie, the San Francisco Democratic Party, San Francisco police officers, firefighters, ACLU home care workers and janitors, carpenters, and construction workers. I am stepping up to this role to bring common sense to City Hall. For so long, City Hall has been ideological and rigid in its belief systems. We need to represent everyday citizens and community members and end ideological politics and focus on what's practical for our city and our community. I believe that I have the right experience, leadership, and temperament for this role. All my life, I've dedicated it to public service. As a military officer with the Army National Guard for 17 years, responding to natural disasters and wildfires. With Children's Council of San Francisco as policy director, helping families get access to child care. At the City College Board, protecting Free City College and balancing our budget. As the union organizer, fighting to help working families get better wages and health care. As an AmeriCorps member, serving our community members most in need. I believe in the roles that I've served throughout my life. It brings the right temperament, leadership, and experience to step up to this role and represent Sunset District residents. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates, for sharing your vision for District 4. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of San Francisco, the D4 Youth and Families Network, the Chinese Cultural District, Indivisible SF, and ACLU NorCal, thank you to the candidates, the voters, APG&E Middle School, and SF TV for supporting this nonpartisan forum. To everyone here tonight and tuning in online or watching the recording, thank you so much for participating in our democracy by learning about your choices for the upcoming election. The League of Women Voters has hosted candidate forums for most local races for the June 2nd election, including races for District 2 Supervisor, U.S. Congress, California District 11, and you can find recordings of these on ours and SF TV's YouTube channels. We have also posted candidate statements for all of the local races on our YouTube, including the Board of Education and the Superior Court Judge race. In addition, the League of Women Voters of San Francisco is partnering with Parents for Public Schools to host an online forum for the California Superintendent of Public Instruction on Thursday, this coming Thursday, May 7th. Visit our website if you would like to sign up to watch it, or you can watch the recording later. That's at lwvsf.org. Your vote matters. Remember to cast your vote by Election Day on June 2nd. We recommend using one of the 37 ballot drop boxes around the city rather than the U.S. mail, which can be unreliable these days. Or vote in person early at City Hall or at your polling place on Election Day. Remember that for some offices, including D4 Supervisor, we use ranked choice voting. A key plan for that is to not rank any candidate that you would not like to see in office. Also, it doesn't help to list the same candidate multiple times, and don't list more than one in each column. It's okay to leave some of the choices blank. Encourage everyone you know to vote. Thank you and good night.